There's one thing you don't have.
And what's that?
The bathroom buddy.
And thank goodness for that. The only thing I remembered about this scene was Billy's dad searching for a present when really he went in there to sneakily solicit the blameless shop owner. Ah, the wonder and innocence of a child's memory. Still, this interaction sets up that he's a bit of a goofball, which comes up later, maybe? Who could say? And we're endeared to Gizmo hella fast. We don't even know what he looks like yet, but a voice that would make Phil Collins weep?
Now come on, you want it or not?
I want it.
Look, I love this movie, but the first 5 minutes make it abundantly clear that it was made 40 years ago. And if you think a grown adult saying, "I want it," and giving a child $200 in a dark alley seems off, you'll probably agree that they should have started this movie at the 5-minute mark. Although, wait, is that a gremlin? Well played. Fun fact, this film and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom came out within a month of each other, and even though they are both PG, are the reason we have the PG-13 rating. If you ever wonder why Christmas just doesn't look like it did in the 80s and 90s movies, it's cause it's a lie. Unless it just snowed the night before, snow rarely sticks to trees like that. It's generally sunny after a storm and it melts or falls off the trees. And unless the plow is blasting trees like this, they don't have white bark. Burbank just has no idea how snow behaves, and it's awesome because this is Hollywood Christmas, baby. He belted her. Really sets a tone for what's to come. This film is bananas.
Damn foreign cars, they always freeze up on you. You don't find American machinery doing that.
Little touches like Mr. Futterman's weirdly jingoistic rhetoric are fantastic. I mean, it's awful, but it adds to the small town feel and also just makes side characters actual characters.
Hey, Dr. Moreau.
The veterinarian's name is Dr. Moreau, a doctor who conducts messed up experiments on animals. Also, the movies showing feel applicable even if sometimes the monsters don't come from the sky, even if they are E.T. and Close Encounters references. Not even a poofy arm pattern dress could make us love Phoebe Cates any less.
Good morning, Mrs. Deagle.
What's good about it?
Man, the 80s pulled no punches in setting up villains. I have to assume that Columbus and Dante asked for fart music. Sometimes it's nice when the movie does the work for you. Yo, that's a vintage Sears X-Car-Go box. We always called ours the Bubble, I don't know why.
The bank and I have the same purpose in life, to make money, not to support a lot of deadbeats.
She looked at the kids. She thinks the kids are deadbeats. We did a number on people's brains in the 80s.
Give him to me. I'll take him to the kennel. They'll put him to sleep. It'll be quick and painless compared to what I could do to him.
Perfect cartoon level villainy. And for the record, we didn't have doesthedogdie.com yet, so we just had to be nervous the entire movie.
Maybe I'll put him in my spin dryer on high heat.
That'd do it all right.
Thanks for the tip, guy. Microwaves and blenders are where it's at, though. Rare that I come away from animal attacks thinking the victim got off too easy, but here we are.
Officer, this is a bank, not a pet store.
Very good, Gerald.
Thank you, Mr.
I mean, when your buddy dishes out a sick burn, you gotta compliment it. Is that supposed to be Kate on his leg? Why is she topless? Still, that's some crazy talent. A little Oldman Smith spider in there.
Look, I'm a junior vice president at 23. By the time I'm 25, I'm gonna have Mr. Corbin's job. By the time I'm 30, I'll be a millionaire.
Brad Hamilton really stepped up from the pirate hat job in 2 years.
Kate, you haven't seen my new apartment.
I haven't seen your old apartment.
But clearly Linda hasn't forgiven him for the bathroom incident. You gotta know she'll never be interested.
Give me a vodka martini, shake, don't stir.
You're working here?
Yeah, weeknights.
But genius move to let that line just kind of slip by. Nothing about this dude is original. Chekhov's sword. Twice.
Do you need any help?
Yeah, you could.
Comes home from work and immediately asks if he can help with dinner? That was a good son.
I just might be interested in the bathroom buddy.
Oh, great.
That millisecond look is the realest moment of the film and it breaks my heart. Supportive families, you know? That box alone would be worth $200 today. This was a genuine reveal when this came out. The trailer only briefly showed the back of Gizmo, so people really had no idea what he or the other Gremlins looked like. And now we know he's a little teddy bear dude with the ears of a fennec fox.
Mogwai. I don't know, some Chinese word.
Hilarious that the shop owner was literally just saying, "That's a demon, you can't buy a demon," but Randall just heard, "This teddy bear isn't for you." And if you wondered why we all bought Furbies even though they're terrifying and creepy, this is why. Gizmo is essentially an adorable sentient stuffy. He is perfect, even if he's technically cuter in the sequel. Hard truth. Someone had to say it. Everything great about Gremlins 2 already up on Nebula now. The impulse to own this little guy. I really can't explain how intense it is. I mean, was. Also can't explain the Shining music, not gonna knock it. Be worried, be very worried, that's my takeaway.
Neat, what's his name?
His name's Gizmo.
Love that Gizmo repeats the words he likes. Ooh, that slight Dutch tilt in the pickup. Looks like you're gonna have some trouble with Mogwai. Mishaps with Mogwai. And also, Gizmo is adorable, but I think we all need to be honest about when it's time to grab the snow shovel. That time is now. I mean, at the very least, the very obvious punk Mogwai. That Mohawk says he does not get down with capitalism.
You're late for the big meeting. It's really important. You're on your way in. You reach up.
Honestly, Randall is a realistic character. He just doesn't understand his talent. It's not invention, it's sales. He needs to team up with someone who is actually good at invention.
Well, it multiplies with water.
What?
Again, this movie is 40 years old, and this watch-through was the first time I ever thought, why didn't the dad ask the kid he bought Gizmo from what happens if a Mogwai gets wet or eats after midnight? And the fact that it took me that long to ask makes me think it's pretty realistic that the dad didn't ask. What am I trying to get instructions on my new pet from the non-pet store that I sort of stole from? Nah. Seriously, no websites to reassure us. We never knew when we could leave our seats to pee. We never knew if one of the now 2 villains would end Barney. Okay, I take back what I said. That's a home run right there. Honestly, bringing an alien creature that you don't understand to your black teacher in the 80s would be accessory to murder. Man, that sounds terrible. No, because of the awful racist trope of token black characters always being the first to die. And Billy should know better.
That's the same Gremlins brought down our planes in the big one.
The Twilight Zone, Looney Tunes, Shadow in the Clouds, or that late 90s Anthrax song, Gremlins have been messing with planes for a long time, and now we know it's always been Gizmo and his buddies. At the very least, conspiracy to commit murder. Still, always fun to see the moment one character decides to kill another.
They're like huge sea pods.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Cute.
Pretty neat, huh?
I know I already gave a win for neat, but honestly, what am I gonna do, not win this one? And now they're gross, so gross. Happens fast.
You want some chicken? No?
Gizmo knows, right? Good guy Giz. Still, we'll never get to see what he looks like as a green one. Seriously, you didn't even tell him the rules. Typical teen with blood on his hands. Amazing design, but no, absolutely not. Get the snow shovel. Spoke way too soon on how gross they are.
What's going on here?
Gizmo answered him. It's the demons, idiots.
Cocoon, and inside, he's going through changes.
Like my mother.
No, that's different. This is called a metamorphosis.
Menopause, metamorphosis. Just saying, Kafka only found one of those too difficult to write about. Steven Spielberg riding through on an electric recumbent bike, as executive producers often do.
Competition's a little more advanced than I expected.
I'll say, is that a time machine? Wait, no, that's the time machine. Forget the shovel, it's blowtorch time. Amazingly repulsive design. The buildup in this movie is so fun. If anyone had any idea what they were dealing with, the government would be in there with hazmat suits. Instead, it's whoopsie daisy, I let the thing out of the box. At least he knows enough to usher the kids out quickly without alarming them. Also, I was wondering if Jude was ready for this Christmas classic, and it occurred to me that this scene has stuck with me for decades, and it's not even a little bit scary. But to the target demo, yeah, remember Trantor the troll from Ernest Scared Stupid? Yeah, he wasn't supposed to be scary either. Even when they're evil and murderous, they're still mischievous. Stabbed Mr. Hansen in the butt. Got him back for that blood draw real good. Iconic shot. Imagine seeing this in the theater and still genuinely having no idea what they look like. First actual shot of a gremlin, and it's a jump scare that lasts a second. We still only kind of know what they look like, saving the big reveals for one of the best scenes of the movie. Ooh, another slight Dutch tilt on the move to the knife.
They hatched. Get out of the house.
Classic horror movie moment with another classic Spielberg moment.
Said the night wind to the little lamb.
See, and you were all, this isn't a Christmas movie, what's that you hear? That's right, Christmas music, making this objectively a Christmas movie, Julia, YouTube viewer. Also, one of the best choices in horror movies is having music intentionally clash tones, so much creepier. Over halfway through and we're still barely seeing shadows of their outlines. But here we go, after 50 minutes we get the payoff, 10 full seconds of nightmare, and snacks. This scene is fantastic for so many reasons. It's the first real look at the Gremlins, and Lynn just absolutely wrecks house. I mean, she mops the floor with them. She goes so hard, and she plays it like a badass good mom. She should have gotten the opening narration. The first one in the meat grinder, she's a little timid, but you see her face change when she stabs that one. This is her house, and if you're gonna come for the queen, you better come correct. Also, I knew Randall's terrible inventions would come up again. Also flipping the script and giving the protagonist the classic slasher stab. Also, brutal. The eyes blending in and looking like Christmas lights is such a fun move. Also, it's definitely gonna give me nightmares. Corey Feldman's main contribution to this film is teaching the Gremlins neat, and that's more than enough. It is kind of bananas that this is PG. We're watching a mom get garroted by a little demon creature and there's a knife that keeps flashing in frame. No notes. Chekhov's sword fulfilled.
Billy. Oh, be careful.
If Billy had witnessed his mom bring in the pain, I don't think he would have told her to stay with the neighbors. You don't bench your star player when they're on a hot streak. Stripe left, came back, paused, and then slashed Billy. What a jerk. It's been a while since I brushed up on my logarithmic versus exponential growth, but if a literal eyedropper drop of water creates a second Mogwai and a 2-ounce splash creates 5, a pool would seem to create an infinite amount. Math wins, where I just speculate wildly. And Gremlins 2 addresses what should be the obvious reaction to what's happening here. But in the moment, it makes sense that Billy is just overwhelmed and too freaked out to realize that safety is just an extension cord away.
This kid is drunk, Brent.
No, what you are, huh?
Well, now it makes sense why Mike was so jaded. He's seen it all. First Shining music, and now I'm getting all the Terminator vibes. But good lord, I love this theme. It's so over the top in the best way.
What the hell is that?
Also, making the Gremlins sound like angry cats was a stroke of genius. Bro knew something was in there and just sat there and watched it happen to him. Amazingly accurate. You gotta love that they aren't just out here murdering, they're also messing with everything the way mythical gremlins do.
Futtermans. Something about a snowplow. Freak accident.
Retcon, misdirect, whatever, still very much enjoy that the Futtermans are back for the sequel, despite all evidence pointing toward them getting killed.
You always get to drive.
Because I'm the sheriff, asshole.
Ha! Not but 12 years before this movie, there was no blood alcohol concentration limit, and 2 years before this movie, it was dropped from 0.16 to 0.1%, and it wasn't until 2003 that they caught up to the rest of the country with 0.08%. Did they kill the carolers? How did they get dressed so fast? Who cares? It's Gremlins. I think this scene is the inspiration for Gremlins 2. Comeuppance. And hilarious that Columbus spent just a sliver of time making us realize she's just a sad little old lady before rocketing her to her death. And love the classic horror movie close-up of Deagle's face as she's shooting up the stairs.
I'd really like to go back to the station now.
I don't blame them, honestly. Serve and protect ends at Santa's being devoured by aliens. But there's still hope for them. You know what they say, all can attain bravery.
Fed up with all this Orson Welles crap. What's that? Hey, you're not watching Ricky Fat?
I know you've all most likely heard it, but that's such a fun reference. Orson Welles did an adaptation of War of the Worlds on air as like a little audio show, and he was so convincing people really thought we were being invaded. The absolute heel turn this movie takes for the last half hour, 0 notes. She's actually serving them? What am I saying? How is this any different from the usual creep she serves? Still reminding us that Stripe isn't to be messed with, though, even if you think you found the perfect spot for hidden cards. Sorry, Jennifer Beals, you've been replaced. Get it.
He slipped and broke his neck. Died instantly. And that's how I found out there was no Santa Claus.
What an awful, tragic story that's ultimately played for laughs. They do the same thing in 2. Weird choice to make the worst thing imaginable that's also sort of goofy a through line in your series. Hey, who am I to judge? Yeah, see, Giz gets it. Even Gizmo can't help but sing along. Dude's wearing his popcorn container. They are terrifying looking, but that screeching would be what pushes me over the edge. Pretty strange that Gremlins didn't get credit for Inglourious Bastards. Stripe knows Gizmo's name? Young love. He knows Billy's name? Nope, that'd be a nope for me. Time to leave and start driving west. Solid Margot Robbie cameo 6 years before she was born. Alright, I can see why parents complained. This movie is great, but Jude would have me looking through his stuffies for Stripe pretty much till he graduates high school. Although, to be fair, the kid points all his Godzilla and assorted kaiju at his bed every night, and also slept with a life-size skeleton standing right next to his bed from September through pretty much... Nope, he's still there. But also, my memory was that Gremlins just kind of mess with everybody, and maybe I was using Looney Tunes logic to miss that they're also stone-cold killers. They've got nothing on Lynn, but they're still gnarly. I'd rest my case. Still, what a great final showdown. The villain is trying to kill the hero with a chainsaw, classic horror, and still PG. Amazing. I can also see why the sequel is more Gizmo-focused. Everything he does is adorable and perfect.
We're gonna turn the hoses on him.
Smart way to set up a sequel. The snow shuffle, it's right there. If only Billy had it in the beginning. Still, glad Giz got to save the day. Really just bummed Stripe isn't in the sequel.
I'll bet he'd like some chicken soup.
Oh hey, it's the real hero of the movie talking to the second hero of the movie.
You do with Mogwai what your society has done with all of nature's gifts.
Mr. Wing spitting facts.
To hear, one has only to listen.
Are you telling me Billy never understood him at all? He said neat like 30 times, still the cutest little dude around. Is Giz telling Mr. Wing the story of the movie? Goodness, they don't make him like this anymore. I mean, really, Gremlins is the classic Christmas movie. But even saying that every year as one of those insufferable people, I actually forgot how much of a Christmas movie it is. And look, 1984 wasn't the most, let's say, aware time for racial stereotypes that make you cringe in pain now. But that aside, this movie wears its weirdness on its sleeve. It leans into Mrs. Deagle being the worst. It leans into Randall's inventions being absolute garbage. It leans into Gremlins killing people, like a decent chunk of folks. I don't know if it's because I probably first saw this edited for TV, but dang, there are some deaths here. Like, that Santa guy is definitely dead, right? And the cops are at least messed up for sure. I guess we know the Futtermans lived, but I do think that's a retcon. Also, as a little kid, I definitely assumed Mrs. Deagle lived, but as an adult, yeah, no, she dead. Which kind of plays to what works about this film. It's fun, it's quirky, but it's also really unnerving. Even the design of Gizmo is less cute than the sequel, and that's saying something, but he's less adorable teddy bear and more monster that at times is cute, and that's before anything becomes a gremlin. It all feels so 80s. It's one of those things that's hard to describe, but you know it when you see it. Like I said earlier, this film is one of the two that helped create the PG-13 rating, and that makes sense, because dang, this film can get brutal. I made it clear that one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie, and I don't think I'm alone, is Lynn going ham on the Gremlins. It's awesome, but it's also gory and gross. Potentially too much for YouTube, I guess we'll see. But it's awesome. And the script is clearly intended to be goofy, but it can be hard to tell that in the first two acts where a lot of it just plays as straight horror. It shouldn't work, but it does. It all makes this movie such a bizarre, fun, and sometimes even unpleasant ride. And that's exactly what the holidays are all about, right? And if you're clamoring for more Gremlins, I've got Gremlins 2 up on Nebula right this second. Is it the superior Gremlins? You'll have to let me know. And we're doing a short run of lifetime memberships again if you want to get in on that. It's also one of your last chances to unbundle and sign up direct to get that sweet discount. Bunch of ways to sign up, and then you'll have access to all my exclusive videos up there, uncensored if you want, which goes double for my Blue Eye Samurai video, which I'm mentioning again because I really like that video. Even if you haven't seen the show, I'm telling you, watch a few minutes of the video, might change your mind. But always with no ads, no sponsor reads, and sometimes even extended versions with stuff too spicy for YouTube. You can even give Nebula as a gift now, details below. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.
Stupid name, I know, but it wasn't mine.